Hey guys, welcome to episode 20 of the Blue Mouse Podcast. My name's Emily. I'm the full-time designer behind the Blue Mouse. You can find me on Instagram and Ravelry under that same name, although I'm way more active on Instagram than I am on Ravelry. So if you're new here, this is a knitting podcast with a little bit of a focus on knitwear design. And yeah, I do the standard structure where I go through any kind of new acquisitions that I have, whips, NFOs, and I also talk about some new pattern releases, and there will be two actually that I'm going to talk about in this episode, and you will get a couple coupon codes for them as well. I have one acquisition today, and if you've been watching the podcast for a few episodes, maybe a couple months, you may remember that my husband commissioned the designer and creator behind the Blue Rabbit House to make me a custom bag, and this is the print that came with it. How adorable is that? And then the bag is this. It's so cute. I love the little details in it. And it's just the most adorable little mouse illustration. I love it. It could not have come out any more perfect, and it was just a really nice surprise gift, and I'm really excited to have it now after a couple of months. And she just did such an amazing job with it. I'll link her below and in the show notes if you guys want to go check her out. I already have another one of her bags, and it's my favorite. I love it. So it's a good size. I would say it can be a sweater bag. It's definitely big enough to fit a normal sweater. If it's a really bulky sweater, it might not. But yeah, I really love it, and I'm very excited to be able to use it. And yeah, that's just kind of all the acquisitions that I have this week. I'm trying not to buy very much yarn, so that was a gift that was bought in February that just arrived. So now we're on to whips, and I have a little bit of I don't want to call it a mishap. So the sweater that I was showing you last episode, I have finished the body of it, and I only have the sleeves, but I think it may have too much positive ease. So this is what it looks like. Now, I chose to make it with 20 inches of positive ease, which if it was a very drapey fabric, I think it would work. But this is a rustic yarn, and it's soft and does have a nice drape, I think, but not as much as like a superwash yarn. I think a superwash yarn would really kind of flow and fall really well, but yeah, I'm not so sure about this. It's pretty big. So this is my waist, and it comes over. So it's quite large on me, and my dilemma is whether to rip it out and try a different size, or to go ahead and start the sleeves and just see if it looks better after blocking. Because I know the fabric will change a little bit when it's been blocked. It'll relax more and it'll probably hang better, but I don't know. It's got, I think, just way too much positive ease for the type of yarn and the fabric that it has created. I like the construction, and I like the design in general, and I really like the color combo, how these two look together. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure. It looks pretty big on me, and I don't think it'll work out. But I haven't decided. I might just choose to make one of the sleeves and then block it, see how it looks. And if it doesn't look great, I'll rip it out and make a smaller size. But I don't know. I'm having a hard time deciding. But the body of this one is done, and the sleeves are going to be pretty short, especially for this size, because it is a drop shoulder and it falls so far off my shoulder that I think, yeah, it would just be a super short sleeve, and I might even do 3/4 length. So the part that you actually knit is only going to be a few inches long. So we'll see. I'll probably decide on that this weekend and make a decision on whether to keep going or start over. It was a really fast knit, especially with that worsted weight yarn. So if I have to start over, it's not like it'll take very long. It's just, you know, a little disheartening to have to start over. And then I don't know that I have any FOs this week. I don't think so. So just a few whips, but I started another pair of glimmer socks in this black yarn, which I know is kind of hard to see. Let me see if I can show it to you. Yeah, so this is the cuff. It's worked top down. So this is the cuff, and then I have just finished working the heel flap. I don't know how well you can see the texture on that. And then all I have to do is turn the heel and work the gusset, and it's onto the foot. So these are a gift for a friend of mine who was actually in my wedding. So it's a little bit of a late gift for that. But yeah, I just decided I wanted something kind of simple and mindless to work on. It's a very, very easy pattern. I created it to be for beginners, so it has video tutorials for people who may have never knit a sock before to kind of teach them along the way how to do it. So for people who have knit socks before, it's just very simple and easy and mindless, which is a great TV knitting. So yeah, I typically do a 56 stitch sock, and I think I'm knitting these on US 0, which is a 2mm. Yeah, I couldn't find anything smaller. But yeah, I don't know, what would that be? I can never achieve like a 32 or a 36 stitch gauge with sock knitting. I have never been able to do it so far. So this yarn is pretty thin, but even with other yarns, I still haven't been able to do it. So that's what this yarn looks like. It's super thin, but very gorgeous and cozy. This is the Autumn and Indigo. I believe it's the classic sock. The sample that the pattern socks are knit up in is also her yarn. I really enjoy it, and I bought this yarn I think over the summer, so it's been a while, but I have been waiting to find a project for it, and this is perfect. And I'll have some leftovers as well to maybe use in another design in the future. So that's just kind of something I started for mindless knitting, so I could just kind of relax and knit in bed and not have to worry about, you know, counting or anything like that. Kind of in contrast to this next project, which is one I showed you, I think last week. This is my Walhalla sweater, and I finished the body, and I'm on to the first sleeve. And it looks super long, but I think I'm just over halfway. And it looks so long because it needs blocked. So the way that it's working up is it's kind of stretched lengthwise, and I need to stretch it so that it's a wider sleeve, and then the length will even out. So it looks, by the time I'm done, it's gonna look ridiculously long, but blocking is a miraculous thing, and it will totally fix that. So I have finished the body, which I'll try and show you here. And I did a Italian bind off. So it's kind of like a sewn tubular bind off. It's very neat. I do need to kind of clean it up a little bit, but it gives that kind of rolled edge, which looks very nice. It'll look better once it's been blocked too. So I just need to kind of even that out a little bit, and the body of the sweater has also grown lengthwise instead of widening out. So that will even itself out with blocking, and it'll just look a lot like a different sweater once it's been blocked, which I love that thing. I love that aspect of blocking. is that your sweater can kind of look a little bit disheveled beforehand, and then you just soak it and lay it out on blocking mats or towels or something like that, and maybe pin it, and it just transforms into this beautiful finished piece. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that because it looks a little bit like the wrong shape at the moment. But that was kind of the case with my swatch too. I had to block it to get it to be the right width that I wanted. So yeah, I should be done with the first sleeve either by tonight or tomorrow. It does take a little bit of time because with brioche you have to work every round twice. So it's slower going than typical sleeve island. So if you're not a fan, you might not like that. I think one of my testers did short sleeves, so you could definitely get away with that, and I think that would be a really fun way to add an extra detail to this sweater. So yeah, I think this pattern is coming out next week. It may be the following. We'll see. I just want to make sure my testers are all good before we release. But this is using Ken yarn, and it is not a named colorway yet. I think he's working on kits. So I will talk about that more closer to the pattern release, but they have really cool meanings behind the kits. So I'm excited to share that in a week or two. We'll see. So that's a little bit slow going because of brioche, but I do enjoy knitting brioche. Not so much in such a small circumference like those sleeves, but just in general, I find brioche to be extremely therapeutic and just very rhythmic. If you've never tried it, it's really, really fun. Once you get the hang of it and it clicks, it's just so much fun. But that is actually all that I have for you guys in kind of knitting content. I have a little bit more about patterns, but I didn't get a whole lot done this week. I guess I finished that sweater, which was a lot of work, but it feels like a small amount to share. So I will talk about a little bit about some of the upcoming patterns if you care to stick around, and then I'll probably just chat a little bit with you guys about life. So the first one, which I have talked about a lot, is my Senya sweater, worked up in Allie from Explore Knits and Fibers yarn, and it's her DK. So this is a DK weight top-down seamless yoke sweater, and you work some color work. Now I did the 3-color version, but the pattern is written and charted for 2 colors or 3 colors, depending on your preference or your skill level or just kind of what you're feeling. So yeah, I'm really happy with this design. I love the way that it came out. I love the color work in the yoke and the detail on the sleeves as well. So I will put a coupon code in the description box below. That will be good for probably a week because I know some people check in and watch these episodes a few days or a week later than I release them. So yeah, I'm really happy with it, and I loved seeing all of my testers' versions, and I'm excited to see what everyone else decides to choose for their colors. So yeah, I'll put that in the description box if you are interested. Yeah, I really enjoyed this one. And then the next one is my skirta cowl, which is the one I'm wearing right now, with lots of little fun color work changes and mosaic color work, which is just slip stitch knitting. So you're only working with one color at a time, which makes it a really easy project to work if you like color work but you don't like stranded color work. So yeah, I used leftovers for this from my Frank shawl. So it's a great leftover project. You don't have to use just 2 colors. If you want to use more than that, you're totally welcome to change that. That's just how it worked out for me because I only had 2 colors of this specific yarn, and it's also worked up using DK weight, so it works up really, really fast, and I really enjoyed it. I'm very happy with it, and my testers also just had the most amazing color combos, so I'm excited to see what people put together for this, and I'll also have a coupon code in the description for when the pattern comes out if you're interested. There's no pressure. There's never any pressure to buy any of my patterns if you're just here to watch a knitting podcast and chat about knitting, that's totally great. I'm happy to have you here. I just like to introduce new patterns to you guys and offer you coupon codes if you are interested. So yeah, that's kind of all I had to say about these. I'll show you the shape real fast because it is a little bit of a different shape. Let me find the beginning round. Yeah. So it starts out thinner than at the bottom. So I don't know how well you can see that, but it starts out thinner and then just grows. So yeah, here's all the wonderful textures. And it's just very, very easy. There's a little bit of increasing and some very simple lace and just slipping stitches, and that's kind of it. It looks complicated if you've never done mosaic knitting. Like, this may look complicated, but it's very simple. Same with this. It's all just slipping stitches and then some stripes and lace and some moss stitch for some texture, and then just ribbing. And I just really love it. I use leftover Featherfin Cashmerino DK from my Frank shawl, which is one of my absolute favorite yarns. My other shawl, the Snowy Pines shawl pattern, uses her yarn, and I wear that one every day. So I'm a huge fan of this base especially. I'm using one of her other bases too, so I guess I'm just a fan of her yarn. And the colors are always just amazing and gorgeous. And I cannot explain to you how luscious this yarn is. I think it has 20% cashmere, so I'm sure you can imagine how soft it is. But yeah, I really enjoyed this project and I'm excited to get it out to you guys. It was kind of just a random, no planning kind of pattern. I just had those scraps and I wanted to use them together, and I just spent, I think, a weekend designing this, and I really enjoyed it. It was kind of a nice palette cleanser. Because it's so fast, I think you could finish it in a weekend, and because it's DK weight. And yeah, if you need something kind of fresh and fast and worked in the round so you don't have to do much purling, then this is a great project for you. So yeah, that is all I had. Just those 2 new patterns and a few whips. So thank you guys for watching. I'll talk a little bit about my life if you care to stick around for that. If you're just here for the knitting content, no worries. I hope to see you in the next episode. But for everyone that sticks around, we had, what did we do this week? We had 2 concerts that we went to. So I remember last week I told you that we might be going to the Bon Iver concert, and we did. We went down to Cincinnati, which is a little less than a 2-hour drive for us. So we drove down and went to that concert, and it was in a theater, I think called the Tap Theater in Cincinnati. So it's this really cool venue, and you got to sit in these nice seats, and just the way that the theater looks is just beautiful. So that was fun, and we didn't really like the concert, to be honest. It was really disappointing, but we had my brother-in-law, so Johnny's brother and his wife, had gone last Friday, and they raved about it, and another couple of friends of ours had gone, and they raved about it too. And so we're like, okay, like, we hadn't planned on going, but we love his music, and why not? Let's just commit and go. So we bought tickets and we drove down, and I am a huge fan of his old stuff. The newer album I'm not a fan of at all. It's not my style. I like the folk sound of the old album. Now Johnny does like the new one, so we're a little bit different in our taste there, but neither of us liked the concert. I can understand why people do. It's a huge spectacle. There's a crazy light show, and it's super loud, and there's like instrument solos, and I can understand why people would like that if that's their style. but neither of us really liked it. The lights shone in my eyes every song. They'd like come up and down like throughout the song. I was getting a migraine by the end of it. Like, can you just quit with the lights? I just want to hear you sing. So that was kind of a bummer. And my biggest issue with it, I think, is that the show, the lights, and the instrument solos and the effects on his voice, it just meant that you couldn't hear him sing. I love his voice. He's got an amazing, amazing talent. And I just wanted to hear him sing, and you couldn't really. There were a couple songs where he would tone it down for maybe half the song so you could hear him better, but still he changed the old versions to be more like his new stuff, and it's his music. I guess he can do what he likes, but it was definitely disappointing for both of us. So by the end, we're like, it was a fun experience because we love spending time together, and driving down to Cincy and driving back was fun. But if I could go back, I would not have gotten those tickets. And we were walking back to our car, and we were talking about it, and this other couple was like, yeah, we totally felt the same way. So I think it's very polarizing. I've talked to some people online who are like, loved it when they saw him recently. So I guess it just depends on your style. And then we went to another concert the night after, which was a Novo Amor show, and that was here in Columbus. And it was also in like this cool theater that I don't believe has done shows in the past. I've never heard of a show happening there, and I think we heard that the venue had just started accepting like bands. So it was a really cool venue. It was pretty empty, and the way that he plays his music is exactly how I wanted Bon Iver to do it. He just came out with his like band, no frills, no crazy lights. He just played guitar, played piano, and sang. And you could hear him sing, and he was incredible. And that's just what I wanted. I just wanted to hear good music. I don't need the spectacle. I just want to hear good music. So that helped, that we were able to hear a good band after the kind of disappointing show. So it balanced out, and he is one of my favorite artists. I listen to him all the time. We used several of his songs in like our wedding day, and yeah, it was really fun. I enjoy him. I hope he comes back to the States again soon. I believe he's Welsh, so he's only done European shows before this, so I'm hoping he'll be back at some point. Because the guy that he had singing on his latest record was sick, so he couldn't sing. So I'd love to hear them sing together live in the future. But yeah, that's mostly what we did this week. Those were definitely the highlights, and now we're like, all right, we've had some busy days. Let's just have a relaxing work weekend. So that's all we're gonna do for the weekend, is relax and work and get our fill of fat. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. I hope to see you in the next episode, and I hope you have a great weekend.